Great 2-minute drill to win it. Last night with Aaron Rodgers, great 1-minute drill to win it. And we perceive those to be the best two quarterbacks in the NFL. Brady is the best quarterback. Aaron's very talented. And so Brady was talking yesterday to WEEI. It's a Boston radio station. It's always the station he talks to on Monday. And what he feels is what I see. New England's pretty good again.
I think we're starting to feel confident. Really what we can achieve, we put it all together for 4 quarters. And I think we all feel like there's plays still out there and we're still getting familiar with one another. And if we can just keep grinding and keep practicing and, keep making improvements, it's tough to stop us. So that's a good feeling.
Yeah, I still have my reservations about Josh Gordon, who I think is really talented and could be a huge bonus if he can stay clean post-Thanksgiving. I think a lot depends on him. Josh Gordon gives them a deep threat. He's a terrifically talented player who has a history of struggling with substances. So you cross your fingers, you root for the young man. He's super talented, and I think he's more important than we think. They've got the tight end. They've got the running backs. They got the slot receivers. You got to be able to go over the top occasionally to beat a Pittsburgh and to beat a Kansas City with the way the NFL works today. But it's interesting. If you'd have asked me 8 years ago, so I watched Brady on Sunday and I watched Aaron Rodgers last night, Joy, and if you'd have asked me 8 years ago, who over the next 8 years is going to get to the Super Bowl more, I would have taken Aaron Rodgers, who was going into his prime, and it felt like Tom was going out of it. But this happens a lot, sometimes, almost without exception. When you go back and look at legends in any field, the people who rise often, they deserve respect, but they get a series of breaks and timing. Think about this. Look at Tom Brady in the last 7-8 years. Peyton Manning retires. His chief rival, the Steelers, have become increasingly noisy and dysfunctional. The best young offensive coaches appear to be going over to the NFC. Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, Doug Peterson, Matt Nagy. Sean Payton still maybe the best. NFC. And the AFC East, Tom's division, has gotten worse over the last 7 to 8 years. Used to be Herm Edwards is in there. Then Rex Ryan had some good defenses. It's gotten worse. And a lot of the quarterbacks drafted in the AFC in the last 7-8 years that were going to challenge Tom. Bortles, meh. Mariota, meh. Manziel was a bust. Paxton Lynch was a bust. Andrew Luck is hurt. Deshaun Watson has no support. Now, so Tom's gotten a series of little breaks. I'm not saying they're all massive, but they're little. Now let's go look at Aaron Rodgers. Okay, his primary rival is Drew Brees. He's still playing, and there's no question he is still one of the top 3 guys in the league. Peyton Manning left Tom. Drew Brees is aged better. Still looks like he's in his peak. The best offensive coaches in football have mostly gone over to Aaron Rodgers' side, the NFC. Again, Matt Nagy, the Bears in his own division. Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, Carson Wentz's coach, Doug Peterson. Many of the young quarterbacks drafted in the NFC to challenge Aaron Rodgers, they've been great. Goff looks to be great. Carson Wentz appears to be great. By the way, when he comes back, Jimmy G appears to be really good. Russell Wilson's going to be a Hall of Famer. Cam and Matt Ryan will get votes for it. And also, whereas Tom's conference has gone downhill in the last 7 or 8 years, the NFC North is better. The Chicago Bears look like they have a very promising future. The Vikings have been really talented for 3 or 4 years. So, this will probably never be built into the greatest of all time, and I think Tom is that and will always be that. But if you look at rivals, quarterbacks, coaching, division, Tom's gotten a series of breaks, good breaks, and Aaron Rodgers has gotten a series of bad breaks. You think about who Tom really has to go through for the next couple of years. The dysfunctional Steelers, which New England owns, and Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Now, that's a real roadblock. That's real. But he's a baby. Whereas Aaron Rodgers is going to have to go through the combination of Goff and McVay, Jimmy G and Shanahan over the next 4 years, Brees and Sean Payton and Carson Wentz and Doug Peterson. I mean, that's a real roadblock. And he's turning 35, Aaron, and he's limping more and more. He was limping by the end of last night's game. So Brady has had a few good breaks last 7-8 years. Aaron's had a few bad breaks. Joy Taylor with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
So we spoke a lot yesterday about the fan who threw the beer on Tyreek Hill being banned from Gillette Stadium. And now we have another update. The Foxborough Police Department have charged that fan with disorderly conduct and throwing an object at a sporting event. And yesterday, Hill's agent Drew Rosenhaus said he was talking to the NFL and the NFLPA about their legal options. He said, quote, "That type of behavior is unacceptable. Players have to be protected, and we want that fan to be prosecuted."
Wow. That is interesting. So they're going to aggressively go after suing or, listen.
Well, let's put it this way. If he decides to climb into the stands and puts his fist in the eyeball of the fan that threw the beer on him, what happens to him? Do you think he gets sued?
Yeah. So
so he deserves to be sued if that's what he wants to do. Want some, get some. That's what I'm telling you. These are not the kind of people that think that there are repercussions to their actions.
I talked to an NFL player off the air yesterday, and he said, "Listen, man, I was in this league for a long time. It's gotten progressively worse. It was always bad, but as salaries have elevated among players, there is a sense among fans, hey, they're worth $100 million. They can take my crap."
Right.
And this time it was over the line.
It was over the line. Well, you're going to learn today. So the Steelers are obviously already tired of Vontaze Burfict. And on Sunday in the third quarter, with their win over the Bengals, Antonio Brown caught a pass over the middle, and Burfict did what he is infamously famous for.
Yeah.
After AB was well wrapped up, Burfict flew into the pile and threw a flying elbow to the back of his head.
He's a dirty player.
Yes, very well documented.
He was a dirty player at Arizona State. He's a dirty player now.
Well, Ben Roethlisberger said after the game, he hits AB, then literally as I am under center for the next play, he points at Juju and says, "You're next." How do you allow that stuff? I told him that my wife was praying for him. He didn't like that either. He doesn't like anything. I mean, this is just who Vontaze Burfict is.
But he was a dirty college player. This is who he is. I mean, it's like, nobody in the league is surprised. Listen, and this is a division that's always been tough and physical. So
and especially the Bengals and Steelers have a long history of this type of stuff.
If Big Ben is noting it, then it's noteworthy. Because Big Ben doesn't say that about Terrell Suggs. He didn't say that about Ray Lewis.
No, and he takes hits all the time.
Yes.
There's some bad blood here, though. So according to NFL Network's Ian Rappaport, Burfict is not expected to be suspended, but will probably be fined. So we'll see how that plays out. And sticking with the Steelers, Le'Veon Bell's absence will apparently continue for another week. One more week of this, Colin. According to a new report by Adam Schefter, the team is not expecting him to return for their bye. A report earlier this month said that Bell was aiming to come back around week 7 or 8 in the hopes of suiting up for Pittsburgh's game against Cleveland on October 21st. So...
it's interesting.
So it continues.
I'm shocked there's been no takers for Le'Veon Bell. I got a theory I'll talk about later, but there's been no takers for him. I mean, Le'Veon Bell has historic numbers. Carries, catches.
Well, I mean, it could just be because of his contract situation that it would be a rental situation. So how much are you going to trade, and what are the Steelers willing to give for him?
$15 million for that type of production? I think there's a lot of teams like Indianapolis.
Oh, there's teams that could use him, but are you willing to trade what the Steelers want for Le'Veon for a rental situation? Now, if it gets you a Super Bowl, sure, but how many teams are on the verge of winning a Super Bowl that need Le'Veon Bell?
I'd love to see New England do it. They don't.
I mean, but they're not going to do that.
I know.
And their running game is solid right now.
I know, it is. You're right. I think it'd be fun.
It would be fun.
I'd love to see Green Bay do it, by the way. How great would Aaron Rodgers and Le'Veon Bell be? I would love to see. But Green Bay is one of those franchises. I have no idea where they're spending the money, but they're apparently tapped. I mean, seriously, every year it's like Green Bay's like, we don't have any money here. And I'm like, okay, who are you paying? And by the way, Aaron's contract just now got money, but the previous 8 years, you weren't paying Aaron.
I don't know.
You wouldn't re-sign Jordy Nelson. You got to pay some of these players. Green Bay apparently is using a credit union, and they just and then
just
by the way,
capping
the Rams are going to Zurich and using some bank that nobody else can use because they can pay everybody.
I don't know how it's working over there.
Joy Taylor with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Line News.
10 years, a Super Bowl, outspoken, now a member of the media, which I love. Brought him on the show.